The Drug Law Enforcement Agency of the Gambia has made what it says is the largest synthetic drug seizure in the country's history. Over 400,000 ecstasy pills valued at $40 million. The International Trade Center, in partnership with the Gambia's Ministries of Trade and Tourism, on Wednesday concluded a two-day workshop for a consultative dialogue to formulate the policy needed to implement the Made in the Gambia strategy. The Ministry of Health on Monday commenced a 7-day capacity building workshop to enhance diphtheria diagnostics capacity and sample management for stronger disease detection and response. In international news, on 16th September 2025, Malawians voted in national and local elections amid soaring inflation, shortages, and recurring natural disasters. Those were tonight's headlines. Now the news in detail. The National Assembly convened an extraordinary session to address the forceful removal of Auditor General Modou Cissé by security forces on Monday, 15th September 2025, while he was addressing the press. Mamadou Gajaga reports on the proceedings.
The Auditor General Modou Cissé was appointed Minister of Trade by the President on the 10th of September 2025, according to a State House press release. Cissé, however, declined the appointment in a press statement on the 11th of September, issued on National Audit Office stationery. On Monday, 15th September 2025, security forces removed him from office while he was addressing the press. Almame Jiba, the National Assembly member for Fonyi Kansala, tabled the matter for discussions, describing it as a constitutional crisis.
Constitutional and legal issue. Undermining the autonomy of the National Audit Office and the violation of 1997 Constitution and the National Audit Act 2015. Honorable Speaker, this is not merely a personal issue. It is a constitutional crisis. It raises critical questions about the separation of power, the independence of audit institutions, and sanity of due process in the Gambia. The National Audit Office is a cornerstone of transparency, accountability in governance. Undermining its independence weakens our democratic institutions and erode public trust.
National Assembly members shared their views on the matter. Some described the forceful removal of Modou Cissé as unwarranted and an act of interference, while others argued that the President was justified in appointing him as minister.
This is not acceptable, and the President should change immediately. The President should change his mind, or I urge this National Assembly. The President has violated the Constitution more than its National Assembly members in this Parliament. Because the President has violated the Constitution more than 20 times, and he has only 18 National Assembly members here. I will urge these National Assembly members to initiate impeachment proceedings if the President don't reverse this decision.
There is no evidence to say, yes, he has accepted it. Even there is evidence, he has right to reverse. Honorable Speaker, you know, we should be bold enough anytime the President appoints you to a particular institution, if you know you cannot deliver, move from that place. The Auditor General may only be removed from office following the recommendation of a tribunal appointed by the Chief Justice. So how can the President just come in the name of promotion that he will be relocated to Minister of Trade?
There is no man born for a position. Mr. Cissé is somebody who I have a high regard for him, but I'm so disappointed. He could have easily handled this situation without the way and manner he did.
The removal of Modou Cissé led to the arrest of 5 youths protesting the decision, including a cameraman from Gambia Talents TV, who was later released. The other 4 appeared in court earlier today. The incident has sparked national debate over executive authority and accountability. Cissé has pledged to challenge his dismissal in court, amid growing calls for transparency and respect for institutional processes. At the National Assembly today, the matter was concluded after contributions, but there was no consensus and no vote was taken on the matter. Mamadou Gajaga, QTV News.
The Drug Law Enforcement Agency of the Gambia has made what it says is the largest synthetic drug seizure in the country's history. Over 400,000 ecstasy pills valued at $40 million at wholesale price. Jules Denjai attended the press briefing and Sina reports.
2 Gambians are in custody and the drugs, traced to Holland, reveal a sophisticated international trafficking network now under investigation. It began with a quiet arrest at London corner, Serekunda, but by the time the sting operation was over, the Gambia's Drug Law Enforcement Agency had taken down one of the largest ecstasy hauls ever recorded in the country, a staggering 401,767 pills, worth $40 million at wholesale price. The first suspect, Falu Cham, was caught with just 1,700 pills. But that arrest cracked open a much bigger case. Officers tracked the trail to a residence in Sukuta, where they discovered 11 suitcases, 10 of them filled with ecstasy, each containing 80 packets of 5,000 pills. Here is Demba Sisi, the Director General of the Drug Law Enforcement Agency.
When Mr. Chan was questioned, he said he was hired by a certain gentleman whose wife lives in Brufut. He led officers to the wife. The wife confirmed that her husband, who lives in Netherlands, in Holland, hired Mr. Cham as a distributor in the Gambia. The wife was also arrested, and some amounts of money were also confiscated from the 2 of them. $967,000, 50,100 euros, and 175,000 sefa. And the 2 suspects confessed to our staff and investigators, for that matter, that that money was from the proceeds of ecstasy they've been selling.
Mr. Cisse said since he came into office 13 months ago, the agency has not intercepted ecstasy at any land border entry point into the Gambia. While acknowledging the challenges involved in tackling drug trafficking, the Dilek boss calls on Gambians, especially young people and law enforcement officers, to partner with the agency in the fight against illicit drugs.
We also know that in terms of sophistication, we have little detection devices. Most of the time, we do physical verification. But we know there are weaknesses all over. We don't want to take excuse. We don't want to say speculative Gambia. But some of the weaknesses we have can be addressed. Like, for example, this thing, the preliminary investigation, they cleared at the port. What the wife of the trafficking tells us that her husband will ship them from Holland. Somebody will fly from Germany and come and clear them at the ports. How he clears them, no disrespect to the ports, we don't know. But he clears them at the ports, take them to the woman. But because these are not from, they didn't fall from the sky. They came through our ports. And there are a lot of law entities at the ports.
Juma Sow, Director of Operations at the Drug Law Enforcement Agency, highlighted the agency's ongoing efforts to support drug addicts.
A center that we are building, it is not yet completed, but hopefully in the next 1 month or so it will be completed. It's where if people who are addicted is where we take them and then rehab them.
In recent years, the Gambia has become increasingly vulnerable to synthetic drug trafficking. What was once a corridor for cannabis and cocaine is now seeing a sharp spike in MDMA and other lab-made substances. For QTV News, I am Juldayai.
On Tuesday, the International Trade Center, in partnership with the Gambia's Ministry of Trade and Tourism, commenced a 2-day workshop for a consultative dialogue to formulate the policy needed to implement the Made in the Gambia strategy. Mam Nabuka has the rest of that story.
This initiative is part of the EU-funded Youth Empowerment Project, a multifaceted initiative by the European Union to boost youth employment and increase the competitiveness, inclusivity, and sustainability of the tourism and creative industries in the Gambia. The Made in Gambia workshop intends to look into the Made in Gambia strategy, which was validated in 2021 and anchored in the country's development priorities to build a recognizable national brand that supports inclusive and sustainable development. Participants will focus on the reforms needed to strengthen the MIG initiative and develop a draft action plan for its strategy. This will also be accompanied by bilateral roundtable meetings with public and private sector organizations and young people active in the relevant sectors to ensure that recommendations capture practical insights that reflect the institutional trust needed for effective implementation. Yusufa Keta, the ITC country representative, says their efforts aim not only to improve market access for Gambian goods, but also to achieve broader goals.
It is about instilling pride and confidence in Gambia-made products. It sets out a vision of the Gambia as a hub for creativity and innovation. And this is what we want to achieve once the action plan is developed and then we go into the implementation. Where made in Gambia becomes synonymous with quality, sustainability, and cultural authenticity.
Amin Jai, the permanent secretary at the Ministry of Tourism, shared her optimism for the Gambia's creative industry and called on all stakeholders to work together and commit to making the action plan a practical and relevant instrument that will elevate made in Gambia products.
As government and partners, our role is to nurture this potential, provide an enabling environment, and ensure that initiatives such as the Made in the Gambia Action Plan are not static documents, but living, dynamic frameworks that respond to the evolving realities of our creative industries.
Hasum Sise, the Director General of the National Center for Arts and Culture, a key partner in this initiative, outlined some other key things they intend to work on under this project.
Our artists have to be able to travel abroad, to be able, to export Gambian culture and heritage. Now, for that to be done also, a lot of things will be on the ground, and we are working on that, with our minister, to see ways and means of enhancing, the mobility of artists. And one technique that we wish to employ is to afford some of these artists, some of the top artists, with diplomatic passports, so that they will be able, to move about the world, represent the Gambia as far as heritage and culture is concerned.
Following this workshop, 2 more sessions will address key regulatory issues in the creative industries, green public procurement, as well as investment and promotion in the Gambia to strengthen exports and the wider economy. Mamna Buka, reporting for QTV News.
We'll now go for a commercial break. When we return, we have national and international news stories. Do stay tuned.
immunisation baa ñàkku mooy li gën a wóor te dal xel ci aar xale yi ci feebar mbaa jàngoro yu mel ni ngas ñu naan ko measles feebaru saxat su bon si di tuberculosis polio feebari sedda ñu naan ko pneumonia cervical cancer tétanos ak yeneeni jàngoro xale bu juddu dafa soxla ay péngu si saasi mbaa bés bu mu juddu maanaam balaa mooy am 20 waxtu ak ñeent am na solo lool xale yi mbaa tuut tànk yi góor ak jigéen jël péngu yiñ leen tegtal ci waxtu bu ñu ko war a jëlee comme ni ñu ko bindee ci seen kayiti noosi mbaa infant welfare card xale yépp war nañoo am bépp péngu bu ñu soxla bokk na ci xale yi laago yi xale yi war nañoo jël te matal bépp péngu bu ñu war a am ci seeni njëlbeeni at ak ay yeneeni péngu bu ñu duggee ci seen ñaareeli at am na ci péngu yoo xam ne xale yi dinañu ko jël ay yooni yoon ngir génn na mun a aar ñuy ñaax waajuri ak ñi yore xale yi di leen toppatoo ne saa yu ñuy dem lopitaan ñu yóbbaale kayti noosi xale yi mbaa infant welfare card ngir am lu wóor ci mbir immunisation bi mbaa ñàkku xale yi mun ngeen a dem ci bérébu fajeekaay bi leen gën a jege xibaar bii ñi leen ko indil mooy waa Ministry of Health ànd ak UNICEF Gavi WHO ak seen yeneeni naataango.
Browse Bitus. QCell brings you a promo like never before. Get unlimited internet for just $25 C's. Yes! Recharge $25 C's and enjoy the convenience of free internet from 1 a.m. to 6 a.m. every day with our Browse with Us promo. With this amazing offer, you can browse, stream, and download all your favorite movies for free. So why wait? Recharge $25 C today and enjoy free internet only with QCell between 1 a.m. to 6 a.m. For more information, call customer care on 111. QCell, Senior Bus, we innovate, others follow. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back, and this is QTV News. The Ministry of Health, through the National Public Health Laboratory, on Monday commenced a 7-day capacity-building workshop to enhance diphtheria diagnosis capacity and sample management for stronger disease detection and response. Here is the report.
Participants include laboratory scientists, surveillance officers, and medical professionals brought together to address this critical infectious disease as frontline healthcare providers in the country. The program is supported by the UK Health Security Agency in collaboration with the ECOWAS Regional Centre for Surveillance and Disease Control, ECOWAS RCSDC, as part of the International Health Regulation Project. Organizers note that with the recent surge in diphtheria cases across West Africa between 2023 and 2024, the risk of undetected transmission in the Gambia remains a serious concern, underscoring the importance of this training. Dr. Sirifo Jan, Director, National Public Health Laboratories, revealed that this training will avail the opportunity to learn and share experiences regarding diphtheria and has urged participants to fully engage with the facilitators to generate positive results.
We want to emulate what is going in other countries. We don't want to be left behind. And in order to do that, we have to collaborate with partners out of the country so that we can bring to the country what is available within the sub-region.
Respiratory diphtheria is a life-threatening bacterial disease caused by toxin-producing strains of C. diphtheria. Dr. Jumoke Soul, consultant, global health microbiologist, and laboratory lead for IHR Strengthening Project UK HSA, elaborates.
In some parts of Africa, the vaccination rates have gone down, and therefore the incidence of diphtheria has started to increase. And so some parts of Africa we've had outbreaks of diphtheria infection. So the reason we are having this workshop is to ensure that the Gambia is well prepared to make the laboratory diagnosis, to identify the infection, such that the response, including treatments, will also be given to anybody with an identified infection.
Momodu Tinyasi, the Director of Health Services at the Ministry of Health, said participants will in the coming days review the latest research and technological advancements in diphtheria diagnostics to implement evidence-based approaches tailored to the local context. Musa H. Kamara, surveillance officer at the Ministry of Health's expanded program on immunization, emphasized the importance and the timeliness of the training.
As it will enable the Ministry of Health to do in-country testing, so that we will not go into empirical treatment, but rather our people will be tested and confirmed before they are given any treatment. And it will also enable all of us to know how well our vaccination is doing in our country.
Expected outcomes include identifying gaps, developing solutions, and strengthening national diphtheria diagnostic and surveillance capacity to improve preparedness and response to Conibacterium diphtherial outbreaks. For QTV News, Loliam Kamar.
You'll stay with me as a group of orphans and vulnerable children in Gunjur Kombo South were presented with educational support through the distribution of essential learning materials on Sunday. This initiative seeks to promote equal access to education and empower disadvantaged children to pursue their academic goals with confidence.
The Abubakar Siddiq Foundation for Needy and Orphan Welfare, AFNAW, was established in 2003 by the elders of Gunjur and named after Abubakar Siddiq, a close companion of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, who became the first caliph of the Muslim community following the Prophet's death in 632 CE. The items provided including school bags, textbooks, calculators, craft and drawing books aim to ease the burden on families while equipping the children with the tools they need to succeed in their studies. The funds to procure the learning materials were raised through annual contributions of $1,000 from over 100 foundation members, supplemented by zakat and charitable donations from the community. The event was attended by beneficiaries, their guardians, community leaders and well-wishers. Abdullah D. Toure, Program Officer of AFNAW Gambia, provided an overview of the beneficiaries.
This year's distribution, we have over 100 materials here that we are to distribute to these orphans and needy children, 36 of which are male and 64 female. 35 of those are in the lower basic category and 36 of them are in the upper basic schools, and also 29 of them are in the senior secondary schools.
Honorable Keba Kebaro, National Assembly member for Combo South, praised the initiative.
That's why it's important for us to participate and also involve in the community and the work of the people that are being done. So on that note, I want to thank all of them for doing this special thing.
Chacha Kante, one of the parent beneficiaries, and Kadijiba, an ex-beneficiary respectively, thanked the foundation for the laudable gesture.
All we can offer are our prayers for those who support the welfare of orphans will be rewarded by Allah alone. May Allah continue to bless and reward them abundantly. I have benefited greatly from AFNAW since its inception. 2 of my children were sponsored by the organization and now are doctors. Many single parents have also received support, which includes providing bags of rice and purchasing festive clothes for numerous children.
Hatab Jame, a beneficiary, spoke on behalf of other beneficiaries.
So for me, my father is not alive, but the time I register in AFNAW welfare, I can say it, I never have problem in my learning material because those people, they help me a lot.
Beneficiaries expressed their gratitude, emphasizing that the materials will help them remain focused in school and enhance their academic performance. For QTV News, Loliam Kamara.
That story will lead us to international news. On 16th September 2025, Malawians voted in national and local elections amid soaring inflation, shortages and recurring natural disasters. The electorate turned out in hope that a new or renewed leadership can deliver relief. Unusually, the contenders included a sitting president, 2 former presidents, and the current vice president contesting against his own. Isatou Barry tells us more.
The main contest pits incumbent President Lazarus Chakwera of the Malawi Congress Party, who is seeking a second term, against former President Peter Mutharika of the Democratic Progressive Party, in a field of 17 candidates for the presidency. This election is shaping up as one of the most consequential in the country since the historic 2020 rerun, which followed the court annual 2019 vote over irregularities. President Lazarus Chakwera, 70, is running on his record, citing infrastructure projects, recovery efforts after Cyclone Freddy 2023, and drought relief. Yet, many citizens express frustration, pointing to soaring living costs, high inflation, and worsening fuel and food shortages. The 85-year-old former President Peter Mutharika attributes much of Malawi's current hardship to mismanagement under Chakwera and pledges to restore economic stability, citing his 2014 to 2020 term, remembered by some for lower inflation and stronger infrastructure. Critics, however, point to corruption scandals during his presidency. Other candidates, including former President Joyce Banda, Dalitso Kabambe, Atupele Muluzi, and current Vice President Michael Usi are also in the race, but analysts say few are likely to challenge the frontrunners. Under Malawi's new electoral law, a candidate must secure over 50% of the vote to win outright. Otherwise, a runoff is triggered. Turnout appears lower than in previous elections. Many polling stations reported long lines in the morning, but a midday drop-off, with preliminary data suggesting both registration and participation lag behind 2019 and 2020, possibly reflecting voter disillusionment. Given the tight race, analysts expect a second-round runoff if neither major candidate exceeds the 50% threshold to be held within the legal time frame. Malawi's election highlights voters' urgent demand for stability and economic relief. Whether Chakwera can address first-term shortcomings of Mutharika's promise of better times resonates will shape who leads and how the country tackles rising food insecurity, inflation, and rural hardship. Voters appear motivated less by party loyalty than by survival. Aisa Tubari, QTV News.
Before we end, here's a recap of the headlines. The National Assembly convened an extraordinary session to address the forceful removal of Auditor General Modu Sise by security forces on Monday, 15th September 2025 at the National Audit Office. The Drug Law Enforcement Agency of Gambia has made what it says is the largest synthetic drug seizure in the country's history, over 400,000 ecstasy pills valued at $40 million. The International Trade Center, in partnership with the Gambia's Ministries of Trade and Tourism, on Wednesday concluded a two-day workshop for a consultative dialogue to formulate the policy needed to implement the Made in the Gambia strategy. The Ministry of Health on Monday commenced a 7-day capacity-building workshop to enhance diphtheria diagnostic capacity and sample management for stronger disease detection and response. In international news, on 16th September 2025, Malawians voted in national and local elections amid soaring inflation, shortages, and recurring natural disasters. That's all for this news bulletin. Join us again at 10 p.m. for another bulletin. Thanks for watching.